Alright guys, got a lot of requests to update the $200 phone video. Not too much has changed, so if you're looking for a phone in that $200 price range, these will, vary from 200 to I think the max now is like 270 on this list. And some of these will be in the used refurbished marketplace, and some of these will be you can actually buy new in that $200 price range. But still, my number one pick for a $200 phone is still the S22 Plus. I don't really have a reason to change it. It really checks off every box, and not only that, this phone has gotten a lot better since it got the One UI 7 update, and I just see this phone continuing to get better when we get the One UI 8 update. So it'll get that, and then after that, it'll get security patches so you can still use it. But this is a phone that I would go with easily. You can see they're on Amazon, eBay easily for around the lower end of 200, and I really like it. It's got a glass back, aluminum frame. It's IP68 dust and water resistant. Very comfortable to hold. It's not a massive phone, so it's not huge to the point where it's it can be uncomfortable for people with smaller hands. And the screen on here is beautiful. It's a dynamic AMOLED 120 hertz display, HDR10 plus, 1750 nits peak brightness, 6.6 inches, 1080p, 393 for the PPI. I think the display still looks great colors, still really good screen to body ratio on here. Zero complaints with the S22 Plus display. Now, this phone, like I said, it launched with Android 12. It gets that 4-year pledge. We just got Android 15. It will get Android 16. Now, you have two variants of this phone. Here in the States, we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and then you have the Exynos 2200. Both of these processors aren't the greatest. If you can get the Snapdragon version, I would get that one. It is, a lot better than the Exynos one. But I would say the phone is fine for lighter use and even some gaming. You can get away with gaming on this phone just fine. You can still play PUBG 90 frames. It's only some of the complaints you get with this chipset is that if you're doing a lot of intense stuff, it can kind of get a little bit warmer than most people would like. I personally never had this phone like crash on me, but yeah, it can get definitely warm for sure. The cool thing about this phone is we have the 128 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM, so this phone does get Galaxy AI. Now, you don't get all of the Galaxy AI features, but you get some pretty significant features. And the new Gemini is here, Circle to Search has been here, and then you get a bunch of other features as well. And that's really nice because we didn't expect to get any of the Galaxy AI features on these older models, so you do have that as well. The camera is still pretty good on the S22 Plus. You have a 50 megapixel standard, a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3 times optical, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can shoot in 8K24, and a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. I really like the cameras. I think it's better than Samsung's most recent mid-range phone, like the A56, for instance. I still think you can get better photos with this phone, and I like everything about it. The dynamic range is pretty good, so you get nice crispy shots. The telephoto lens is solid. You get up to 30 times zoom. You can get some also good zoom shots with this, and the ultra wide is pretty consistent with the main lens. It can shoot, like I said, 8K24, so the video is overall solid, and the selfie camera is overall decent too. Yes, it can be a little bit soft in low light conditions, but I'm telling you, in good lighting, this phone can still give you a great shot. And I would say the speakers are solid on here. I don't really have a major complaint. There's a decent amount of bass, overall good clarity. And then we also have the under the display fingerprint sensors, very fast. It's the ultrasonic. And then, like I said, you got your bells and whistles, Samsung desktop support, Galaxy AI. Now, the battery life on the S22 Plus is pretty solid as well. It's a 4500 milliamp. For me as a lighter user, you can typically get through the day with this phone just fine. And it does have 45-watt charging, which is also solid, and your wireless and reverse wireless charging is on board. So I don't really have battery issues with this phone either. This is a great buy overall for 200 bucks. Is the Pixel 7 Pro, which is retaining its value pretty well because this phone is still around the $250 price point. And I think it's mostly because this phone, it got the extended software support. So the Pixel 7 Pro will actually get up to Android 18. So for anybody who, you might want to avoid old flagships because you don't like the fact that the software might be outdated in a year or two, this phone actually will get a significant amount of updates, especially for, it being a 2022 phone. But yeah, so overall, I love the design of the Pixel 7 Pro. It's IP68 dust and water resistance, pretty comfortable to hold as well. and the display is very nice. The overall just display and the user experience with the software is extremely smooth. It's got a big 6.7-inch display. It's 1440p LTPO AMOLED, HDR10 plus, 1500 nits peak brightness, and it's 512 for the PPI. It's a beautiful display, like I said, silky smooth. Now, this is a curved panel as well, so for people who, you may not like curved panels, just take note of that. But yeah, I overall love this. We have Google's Tensor G2 processor. Now, I did have one issue with this phone where it was kind of hot outside and I was, filming because I use all my pixels to film my shorts with. And yeah, I flashed a heat warning when I was recording and downgraded the video. That's the only problem I've had with this phone. And it did it once. I never had that problem again. But yeah, it was something that, I always keep in the back of my mind just to tell you guys. But yeah, so this phone, the processor itself is fine. It's not one of the best, powerful processors on this list for sure. It's not that greatly, optimized for gaming. So PUBG, you can't even run that at 90 frames. You can run it at 60 very smoothly. So again, this processor is not really for the gaming crowd and stuff like that. You do have 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM on the base model. And like I said, it's very smooth. All the AI stuff is functioning extremely well on here. And I don't have any issues just with general use with this phone. The reason why you would buy this phone is because of the camera. I still think the sensor on here, the main sensor, takes fantastic photos. The video is pretty solid, but you can kind of see the age in the video a little bit because I used to film with it a lot, like I was saying. But I think this main camera still looks fantastic. It's a 15 megapixel standard, 48 megapixel periscope telephoto, 5 times optical zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide. You have 4K 60, 10.8 megapixel selfie, 4K 60 as well. And yeah, you get some really good shots. I really like the skin tones. I really like the detail and just Google's image processing here. It still does pretty good in low light photography as well. So this is a solid camera. I think it's easily still one of the best cameras on this list. And the speakers on here actually are really good. They have pretty good amount of bass, so they're very loud and pretty nicely balanced. And the fingerprint scanner is also another thing that's kind of finicky. It's an optical one. It's not as fast. But besides that, I mean, this is overall a very solid phone. The battery life is just okay on this phone. It's not anything too crazy. It's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. I think it has a lot to do with just its Tensor chip. And you do have 23-watt charging, 23-watt wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. But this is a solid phone. Its two strong points is going to be the updates and the camera. Next is the iPhone 13. So this one is going to be probably the most expensive phone on the list because this phone in the used refurbished marketplace is $262. I would prefer you guys to spend that extra money and get this over the iPhone 12. It does things slightly better than the 12, and I think down the line it's just going to be a better phone if you guys decide to keep this for a significant amount of time. But yeah, so that's your price range, like 260, 270. And I do like the design. I think it looks great. It is a IP68 dust and water resistant, full glass and metal device. And this is kind of on the smaller side these days at 6.1 inches. So it's kind of a phone that you can count on one hand. It's got the Super Retina XDR OLED display, 1200 nits peak brightness. You do have that notch up top. And it is a 1170 by 2532, 460 for the PPI. And the screen is actually pretty good. I have no issues with the display. The only thing here is this is the only phone with a 60 hertz panel, which if you're accustomed to iPhones, it probably will not matter because even the newest iPhone 16 base model has 60 hertz. But yeah, that's the only thing you kind of notice coming back to this phone if you were using 120 hertz. Now, this phone, typically iPhones have like a 6-year pledge. This launched with iOS 15, so it'll get iOS 18 and iOS 20 for sure. And we have the Apple A15 chipset on here. So with these older iPhones, you don't get any of the Apple Intelligence features, which is kind of unfortunate because they put such low RAM in these phones. So the base is 128 gigs and 4 gigs in RAM. So, overall the experience is great. It's a fast phone. Again, the display limits the gaming capability. So even though the processor is really good, you can only play PUBG at 60 frames. But it does play games pretty well. I didn't have any issue with that. And now the cameras on the 13 are really good. It's a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Just as a point and click, it's pretty solid. I think video is also pretty good on here as well for such an older phone. This phone does lack a telephoto lens. But you do have, again, 4K 60 video, 12 megapixel selfie, also 4K 60. So I think it has really good video, but again, it lacks in that department when it comes to the telephoto. It still takes pretty good low light shots as well too, something I noticed. Yeah, overall the camera I think is solid. Now, where the issue will come in with this phone is that the battery life is not that great. On this phone, I think it's kind of okay, and mine's has like 80% battery health. It's in the higher 80s. It's a 3240 milliamp hour battery. You do have MagSafe capability on here, which is nice, and then you also have wireless charging as well, of course. But yeah, the battery life it's okay if you're a lighter user, but this is a phone you game and do GPS, you're gonna have to charge it. All right, next is the Moto G Stylus 2024. Now, they do have a 2025, which I can bring on the channel if you guys are interested, but I really like the 2024 version. You can get these extremely cheap if you buy them, at like Walmart on like Cricket or Straight Talk. But unlocked, you can find these for, pretty cheap as well, too. I see them on eBay for like 200, 250. And this is a really awesome phone. I think it has only one thing that I didn't really like about it, but overall I really like the design on here. You have a nice textured, soft textured back on here, and then it is a plastic frame, but I'm telling you, when you pick the phone up, it doesn't really feel or look cheap in my opinion. One thing about this phone, there is no official IP rating, so if you get it wet, drop in the pool, it's most likely gonna break. So that's the only kind of downside about the hardware. And the cool thing about this phone is you have everything else. You have a built-in stylus, so you can, if you want to navigate the phone, do some artwork with it, or just whatever. But it's not just that. This phone actually has micro SD card support and a headphone jack. So it has a lot of things that a lot of people want in a phone these days. So that's another little cool thing about this. And then also, guys, you do have a really nice POLED display. It's 1080p, 120 hertz. It's 1200 nits peak brightness, 395. You have pretty good screen to body ratio on here as well. And overall, the colors look solid. I really don't have any major complaints at this price point. The only thing about this phone is that, it only has a 1-year pledge, and Motorola promised security patches after that. But you only get Android 15, which it should currently be on now. And that's it. So you just get security updates. But the Motorola skin is also very nice. So I like it. It's not, doing too much, but everything is very smooth. The animations, they have a lot of useful little features in there. And we have the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1. This is not a crazy powerful processor, but it gets the job done for general use. The phone has remained, relatively smooth throughout me having the phone, so I don't really have a performance problem. You can play games here and there, PUBG 60 frames, and I had no issues, Call of Duty and stuff like that. So it can do a pretty good job at just general performance and general gaming. It's 128 gigs and 4 gigs of RAM on the base. There is an 8 gigabyte RAM version. I would personally, the cameras aren't that bad either on the Moto G Stylus. A 15 megapixel standard, 13 megapixel ultra wide. Shoots in 4K 30, 32 megapixel selfie, shoots in 4K 30. You get pretty good shots in daytime. It is going to suffer a little bit in low light. And then you also are lacking, of course, a telephoto lens here. But honestly, I do like the photos. The video is solid on here. At this price point, really no major complaints. The battery life is excellent on the G Stylus. It's really, really good. It's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 30 watt charging. It even has 15 watt wireless charging. So this is just an overall solid pick for anybody who wants like a new phone and you don't want to buy it used. You can get this for really cheap. Last, I want to put the S21 Ultra. This phone has been fantastic. It got its last MidRest update with Android 15 One UI 7, and it has been excellent. And honestly, it's going to get security patches. This is still a solid phone to pick up considering how cheap it is. It's not a gigantic investment. You actually get a lot here. So this phone has a really nice design. It's actually very comfortable to hold. It's got an aluminum frame, glass back, and this phone does have stylus support. So you can buy the S Pen, case, and use the S Pen, do digital artwork and all that good stuff. So I really like that. Of course, IP68 dust and water resistant. It's a dynamic AMOLED display, 6.8 inches, 120 hertz HDR10 plus, and it's 1500 nits peak brightness at 1440p. 515 for the PPI. The display is still really great looking. Has those classic, really vibrant, vivid Samsung colors on the display, which is something that you really like. And like I said, for a big phone, the way that the phone is designed is actually pretty comfortable to hold. It's not super boxy. And this phone, like I said, Android 15, it's currently in security patch stage. The Snapdragon 888 is not my favorite processor. That's the kind of thing about this phone. It can heat up if you're doing an intense gaming session or something like that. And it will take a kind of a hit to the battery life if you're doing a lot of intense stuff as well. I did do a trip to Vegas with this phone, a day in a life. It did perfectly fine for me. But I am a much lighter user, so you guys who are kind of heavier users using GPS gaming all day, it is going to take a hit to the battery. It is 128 gigs and 12 gigs of RAM on the base. We did not get any of the AI features, unfortunately, besides the new Gemini and Circle to Search. But besides that, One UI has been running extremely smooth on this phone. It makes the phone feel a lot newer, than it should at this age, right? And the speakers on here I find not bad at all. The fingerprint scanner is great on here. The highlight with the S21 is still, I think the cameras are still fantastic. And yeah, the main lens, it can be a little bit soft and low lighting, but the telephoto lens on here, so you have two telephoto lenses. You have a 10 times regular telephoto and a periscope telephoto. This will get you up to 100 times zoom, and so you have a 3 times and a 10 times, right? And you get really good zoom shots on here, much better than any phone in at $200 price point. So if you're at a sporting event or you're at your whatever concert, this can actually get up really close and get you a really good shot at 30 times and 10 times, stuff like that. So I'm always impressed with the cameras on here. In general, it takes really good photos still in good lighting. It's just low light photos. And it shoots in 8K 24, 40 megapixel selfie. It shoots in 4K 60. So I would say it's a fantastic camera, especially for zoom. Battery life, again, is just going to be kind of average. Like I was saying earlier, 5,000 milliamps. The charging is kind of slow at 25 watts. You have wireless and reverse wireless charging. And yeah, so overall, this is a very solid, pick here. So that's pretty much it, guys. Be sure to let me know what phones you would buy at $200, and I'll catch you guys in the next